Hey.
We are live, new platform, exciting. Chuck, how's it going over there? I see half your head.
Yes. You see half my head? That's probably part of the platform.
All right. So yeah, new platform. So for anybody that is watching, whether you're on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, you could actually communicate with us live. You can chat. We'll be able to throw your chats or questions on the air. So feel free to communicate with us as you guys are on there. Oh, I think we already got a couple. Let's see. There you go, Danny. Welcome, Danny. Somebody else here. Crazy Cockatoo. All right. So, Chuck, what do we have going on today? I know we have a very exciting special guest. I know you have a couple of really hot deals that we're going to talk about super quickly, so we can go straight into our special guest. You want to take over and knock it out?
Yeah. Let's go. Okay. So, off-market opportunities. We've got a Sherman Oaks fixer with an ADU potential. So you'd be picking it up for $975. I can share address and obviously everything. It'll be on lafixers.com under the inventory. So this is a property you'd be picking it up for $975. Add some square footage, add an ADU, and then it's a $1.8 million property. So tremendous potential. It's not on the market. So if you're fighting like the rest of them to get acceptance through us, you get that privilege of, getting through the bureaucracy and just getting straight into escrow. So if you're interested in this Sherman Oaks one, please go into lafixers.com or email lafixers@gmail.com, and I'll give you more information, access, footage, all the details.
Perfect. All right. That sounds like a good one. You have anything else?
Yeah, I've got this brand new one. It's Sherman Oaks Hills, south of the Boulevard, Sherman Oaks, in the 4,000 block. I believe it's an 8,000 square foot lot. It's coming fully approved, RTI, ready to issue permits for a 5,700 square foot structure, 4,500 main house, 1,200 ADU. You can pick it up for $2 million. Plans, everything approved, ready to go. It'll cost you probably $1,350,000, $1,400,000 to build it, and then your exit there is about 4.2. So again, tremendous.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hold on. Slow down on that. Say it again.
$2 million is your purchase price. It's coming fully approved. RTI, ready to issue permits.
So RTI, so that means shovel ready. They can purchase next day, start building.
Yeah. And now there's tremendous value in getting RTI stuff because with COVID and with everything that's happening, it's not just being able to get permits in 5-6 months like you used to. Now you're sitting a year, possibly on a non-performing asset. You're sitting on it. Maybe you have, maybe it's vacant. Maybe there's all types of different scenarios, but
it's a nightmare now with
get it quickly.
Building and safety is, developers watching this all know, right? Building and safety is a nightmare to get permits nowadays. So RTI is huge. So $2 million RTI locked in escrow. So anybody interested can come pick it up, and it's RTI to build what exactly?
5,700 square feet total, a 4,500 square foot main house, and a 1,200 square foot ADU.
All right. That's awesome. So let's throw that on here again. Go to lafixers.com. Reach out to Chuck if you're interested in any of those.
Yeah.
Okay, Chuck, why don't you introduce our special guest?
Our special guest today, Deborah Razo. She's a Tony Robbins coach. She's an author. She is, I forgot to turn off my phone. She is an author. She's she's a coach. She does it all. Welcome. Let's bring her on.
Let's bring her on. All right.
Hi, guys. Nice to be here.
How are you?
You forgot to mention the most important part. I'm a real estate investor.
That's right. I figured we'd get to it.
we advertised that part of it everywhere, and in the money time, we left the most important piece out.
I was writing down Sherman Oak, 975. Yeah.
There you go. So thank you for taking the time and joining us. We got a lot of feedback as we started promoting that basically you're going to be on the show, and mostly because everybody wants to pick your brain. There's so many things happening right now, so many things changing, and we just want to basically figure out what we can do in these changing times. So tell us, before we get into that, maybe tell us a little bit about your story, how you got started in real estate, a little bit of the, what led you to this point.
Sure. I think for everybody, it's a little different. I'm getting some weird clicking feedback. Are you guys getting that, or?
Yeah, I think it's on Chuck's side. I just muted his mic, so I'm not.
Okay. You're muted, Chuck. Anyway, so I started in real estate about 11 years ago. And honestly, I've been an entrepreneur for many years, over 25 years. And I got into a car accident and it changed my life. So about 11 years ago, I had an opportunity to start over. And I know that there's a lot of people that are probably listening that have had those kind of opportunities, right?
Right.
They're not always welcome, but they happen, right? Sometimes it's the death of a loved one. Sometimes it's a divorce. For me, it was a car accident. And I was driving with a friend and a tire blew. And we went over into the dirt on the side of the road, and the rim of the tire that blew dug into the dirt, and we flipped driver's side first. I was the passenger. I got the brunt of the accident. So I was air-vac to a hospital. And after they finished stitching up my head wound, they told me I had a broken neck. Crazy, huh? Just crazy. So I had to have an operation. I'm now half bionic. I have a titanium brace holding my head on, and some other things too. But the long and short of it is that it took me well over a year to heal. And during that time, I had a lot of time to think. And I think, like some people, maybe even during COVID, they've really had a time to think about what they're doing with their life. Are they really living it the way they want to live it? Right. And don't get me wrong, I didn't have a bad life. I had my own business, but was I running my business or was my business running me? And right. I had heard about passive income, right? And I was like, I want to get me some of that. Like, I want to have time. I want to have freedoms. I want to have all that stuff. And I started literally Googling passive income, and all kinds of things came up. I mean, royalties, but real estate kept coming up again and again. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people. I mean, we all know the statistic, right? 90% of millionaires are made in real estate. And there's a lot of people that go after real estate to, pursue other things and to lead a more life of freedom. And that's what I wanted too. And so I literally started listening to podcasts, reading books, going to real estate clubs, and educating about 11 years ago. And oh my God, what a wild ride it's been. I mean, you guys know the ride of real estate. Oh, and I got to say one other thing. And that is, my brother who took care of me was very much involved with Tony Robbins as well. And God bless him, he never let me believe that I was going to be anything more than healed. But when he said that, if you want to make some changes in your life, you're going to need a mentor, and you're going to have to change what's in here first. Right. And so I started just attending his events, and now I'm one of 170 trainers that he used to fly out to events. We haven't had a live event now for a while, but it's a remarkable situation to be involved with people and help them transform their lives as well. So it's transformed mine, and my life is transformed through real estate and through self-development, all that kind of stuff. And I help others do the same. So yeah, that's how I started. Yeah.
Wow, that is an incredible story. I mean, we've heard a lot of stories. We've heard funny stories, crazy stories, but that one I have not heard yet. That is incredible. First of all, thank God everything worked out and you're here with us.
Right.
And I know you're adding so much value to the community. So that's a blessing. So why did you decide to get into coaching of all things?
Oh, right. The coaching didn't come along for a while. Honestly, I was pretty dedicated to changing my own mindset first, learning how to invest, what I needed to do to invest. I started by my own investment philosophy was to flip here in Los Angeles and then start getting buy and holds outside of LA. I could get more cash flow there. So I own single families in Memphis, Tennessee, and multifamilies in Tucson, Arizona. And, I think that as things were progressing, I realized, I think that for a lot of people, you kind of like, you get a house or you get a second house and you start to escalate and then you plateau and it starts to become like kind of a grind and it starts to become hard and work. And I think that was the time that I really relied on self-development more. And I really relied on mindset and I really relied on resourcefulness and I really relied on those kind of things. And when I realized how much they helped me, it made me really want to help others. And that's why I got into coaching other people and bringing them along for the ride. There's more fun when there's more people in the car. Don't you think?
Absolutely. Yesterday, I did a session, not real estate related. I was on a panel. I was invited to speak and host this uber successful startup guy that put together a community nonprofit of all the startup leaders in the world. And the only reason, the entire purpose was so that he can be surrounded by those great minds. And it just elevated his success to all new heights. Chuck, I'm going to try to unmute you. I don't know. Do you hear that?
I hear the static, but if I've been muted this whole time, then it can't be me.
No, I don't hear
Maybe
the static
Deborah.
when you're muted, but I hear it when I unmute you.
I hear it all. I hear it even when I'm muted, actually.
Really?
So.
All right. Well, new
I don't hear
platform,
it now.
tech challenges. So, Chuck, I'll let you jump in before I mute you again. Do you have anything you want to ask real quick? Because I have a list of questions that I can go through.
I do have one question because I've seen you on the boot camp for the Los Angeles Real Estate Investors Club, which we're also involved with. I think my question for you is, what is like your source of happiness? What gets you out of bed? Your charisma? Like what is that for you?
Well, I think there's a lot that goes into that, and I think it ebb and flows. Like I think everybody just kind of ebb and flows. There are times when you have a lot of things that you're working for that comes towards you and you're like, it's working, right? And then there are times when, it's just one problem after another. And, it's one thing to be faced with problems all the time, but it's another thing to be faced with problems that you haven't been faced with before and to have, fresh problems in your midst and not knowing how to deal with them. I used to jokingly say that, my phone doesn't ring unless there's a problem on the other end. And it's the truth. When everything is going okay with my properties, with, my real estate business, with my, women's real estate network, I don't hear from anybody. Everybody's happy. Everybody's moving along. Everything's great. My phone rings when there's problems on the other line. And fortunately, I consider myself a really creative problem solver. And so I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's figure this out. I feel like there's a lot to be said for brain trust, which means like, if the three of us are in on a deal together, let's use our brains together and our resources together to figure out the best way to come up with a plan. And I think a lot of that does come through from my, self-development training. You can either look at a problem and go, it's not going to work, and start that downward spiral. We've all been there. We've all done it. I've done it, or you could look at a problem and go, but what would work? How could we fix this? And then you have to actually express those things to the team you're working with, right? Like, because if you're working with the team and you're saying to them, we're going to lose out on this, aren't we? well, they're not in a resourceful place looking for answers to solve the problem, right? You've got to bring it to your team in a way that's going to get them stimulated. Like, how can we fix this? How can we use this to our advantage, right? Asking really empowering questions. Yeah. So I don't know. Did I answer your question?
He's nodding because I muted him. We'll figure this out, Chuck. We'll get it. All right. So, I like to ask this question because a lot of people that are watching us are new to the business or have been struggling. They've been around for a while and haven't really found the thing. You now have been doing this for a while. You've figured out certain things that work well. Now, if you can use all the knowledge that you have today, everything that you know, but put yourself in day one of when you started. So you're a fresh agent, but with all this knowledge, what would be the first thing that you would do to go out there and really grow a brand and start getting business? Yeah.
I think I spent time, and I see a lot of people spend time in two ways that are not beneficial. So if it was day one, pick an asset class, pick a method of investing and stick to it. I heard recently success is paid off with focus. You got to stay focused. You got to stay focused and go towards that goal, right? So that would be one of the things that I would say. And the other thing is surrounding yourself with like-minded people. You've got to have people around you that are gonna, brainstorm with you, or that are gonna pick you up, or that are gonna help you to get closer in your goals. So I think those are the two things that I would do. I would surround myself with people who are doing what I'm doing successfully, and I would know that I have to stay focused. Oh, and then you got to get into action. Okay, 3 things. I keep adding. So yeah, you got
the more the better.
Yeah. So I feel like
I would actually like for you to maybe dive in on that separately, right? So because it actually leads into one of my questions: daily disciplines, right? You as a coach, as a mentor, you probably preach this to the people that are getting coached by you, and we all know on paper what needs to happen, but for some reason the day goes by and we haven't done 80% of what we're supposed to do. So what daily disciplines can people implement into their daily routines that can really change things for them? Simple things.
Right. I think a simple one is, you've got to decide where your peak performance hours are. I happen to be a morning person. That's my peak performance hours. I know a lot of people that are night people, that, have their peak performance hours then. You need to utilize your peak performance hours to do those things that are hardest for you. Now I love numbers and I love running numbers. So that's not hard for me, but I'm not keen on accounting. If you guys know the difference, right? I run businesses and I have to do my accounting. My accounting has to be done in the morning times when I'm fresh and I have that kind of energy. And it just has to be sit down and do it. You schedule it. I mean, my days are booked. You have to schedule things that are important to you, right? If you're prospecting, schedule it. If you need to be making a certain amount of offers daily, schedule it. You've got to put it on your calendar.
Agreed. All right. It looks like Chuck just joined us from his cell phone, and now I don't hear any background noise. So you're unmuted. So I'll give you the next question before I jump back in.
No, I'm kidding. I'm good. Okay. I wanted to ask you about your book because I feel like everything from the title, you got this. It's like I was saying in our promo, we're both fathers of little girls, and we love seeing anything that empowers women. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, the book came about because and REN, the Women's Real Estate Network, came about because I was actually going through a difficult period. I don't know how long you've been, in the flipping business, but here in LA, probably 5-6 years ago, all the hedge funds were coming into LA and they were scooping up all the fixers. And here I am trying to compete against hedge funds who were paying too much for these fixtures, and I could not secure a fixer. And I was really frustrated. And I just felt like, where are my girls? I need to be with my girls. And I asked a group of women to come together, and we came together and we started sharing our stories. Now, they weren't all fixers like me. Some of them are buy and hold. There was a couple women who own a bunch of storage units. They were all from different areas, but we all collaboratively wanted to help each other. And I think that was what was really cool about that. And I think that's what we all need. We all need those kind of people that we can come to and collaboratively help each other. And they all had different stories. So when Ren really started to form, I really wanted to get these stories out to other women who don't know that these kick-ass, crazy, great women exist, right? Because most of the time at the front of the room, it's men, and that's just how it is right now. But that's why the book came about. And honestly, I just asked them to write about themselves, and we gave them a little bit of structure. But when I actually got everybody's chapters together and I read it myself, I realized that there were certain themes that everyone felt. And that was, education. Education's really important. The other thing was networking, keeping yourself around like-minded people. And the other thing that came out of it, and I don't know if it's a woman thing, so maybe you guys can tell me, is intuition. You got to go by your gut and learn to trust your gut. And I think that's just a business person thing. I don't think it's uniquely women, but
I think my wife would agree that it's a women thing. Yeah.
Is it? I don't know.
My wife always tells me, trust a woman's intuition. And I do. I don't argue. I trust. So, everything's changing with COVID. Obviously, it made it more difficult to network. You mentioned networking as a big, important part of it. And there are platforms, things like what we're doing, but it's not the same, right? Than getting in a room with 50, 100 other like-minded people, being able to actually shake hands, rub elbows, do things that we used to. What tips, if any, do you have to still be able to do these things, but in today's environment?
Right. We went from an in-person networking organization to online like everybody else last year. And at first I was thinking that it would be harder to connect. And in some ways, I guess it is. But at the same time, we get the opportunity to connect nationally really easily now. We're not just connecting local like we used to. And the other thing is that I think there was a time in the beginning of this that I underestimated the power of this. Like, we're here with each other. We're experiencing something. Now, it's not the same as being live, but it's still like an emotionally driven thing, And I think it's really powerful if you let it be. And so one of the things that we did is we have an annual conference, and we decided to really address, just face forward, like the things that people were going through, Zoom burnout or whatever it was, right? And so we left more gaps, and we did things that were just fun. Instead of at our regular event, we have a Saturday night cocktail networking party, right? Which we've all been to, right? Cocktail networking party. Couldn't do that online, so we had a Saturday night pajama networking cocktail party, and everybody dressed in their pajamas, had cocktails, and then I brought in a woman comedian at the end so that we could all have a laugh for a while. I mean, because that's what networking is, right? It's sharing a common experience, and I think we can still create experiences online. It's just a matter of figuring out a way to touch people and get everybody gathered together in that same way. And the other thing I'm going to add is that you need to follow up with people, because you're not making as close a connection online, so you need to follow up. You need to make those connections.
Absolutely. So we have a question here from YouTube. Danny is asking, what is the best way to stay motivated and creative?
Yeah. So I think one of the things is knowing that you can create all the time, right? I mean, we all wake up every day and create our day, and I think that sometimes creativity is about feeling that freedom and feeling that ability to just paint. I'm going to use a creative word, paint whatever day that you want, And so I think staying in the mindset of being able to create whatever it is that you want. I think that all of our spirits need filling, and I think that's different for everybody. For me, it's journaling and some meditation. For some other people, it's like a really solid workout. I do work out and that helps, but it's not what spiritually fills me. So I think you really need to find out what spiritually fills you. I know some people who like to be in the mountains or like to be at the beach, like you find out what spiritually fills you, and you have to keep that that part of your tank, fill it full, So those are my advices to you. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Hopefully, Danny, you got your answer. So I want you to talk very shortly, very soon about your boot camp, and we'll bring up the flyer here. But before we do that, what is next in your journey? What's next for Deborah?
Right. It's really interesting that you say that because I'm actually figuring that out.
Okay.
I have been developing here in Los Angeles. I just finished a couple of fourplexes this past year, and getting them over the line to certificate of occupancies was a hustle. It's like what you guys were talking about earlier, getting things through the city and getting approvals and getting your inspections done and everything is really a hustle. And I have looked at some more development deals, and I've kind of decided I'm going to sit on the sidelines for a minute and see, what's happening. So I'm actually kind of going back to flipping, and I'll flip some more. I'm, also just repositioning the current assets that I have. Interest rates are super low. People, interest rates are the lowest. We'll probably see them in our lifetime. Look at debt and use it. Did you get the message?
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, the last 2 days, this is actually going to be one of my questions also, rates have started skyrocketing. We're about 0.5% higher in 1 week than we were. Still all-time low, but, and this is where we can maybe use your help as agents, as people in sales, the mentality, the transition period from where rates were 2.75 on a 30-year fix to now being 3.25 on a 30-year fix. It's hard for people to deal with that change, even though we're still at all-time low. So what tips can you give people when they're talking to their customers that are nervous because rates are going up, that, feel like they've missed out the opportunity, even though in reality we're still lower than, history?
Yeah, I mean, I think you bring up a good point. In reality, we're still lower than we've ever been in history. And I think there are a couple other good points to be made. And that is, first of all, you wait any longer and you're still going to miss it. Like, what is stopping you? Because, it's got to be more than just the interest rate. And I'm going to just go a little deeper. And that is, there's a fear there. There is something else there that is stopping it. And you need to deal with that. Right? You need to deal with whatever that is about, and the other thing is, I mean, if you want to talk economics, we're in an unprecedented time, and I'm not going to pretend to know, what the forecast of the economics is going to be, but I am going to say that we have just dumped a bunch of cash into our economic system. And, I think most economists agree that there's inflation that's going to be happening. Well, the rate of inflation that's happening currently is quicker than the interest rates that we're having. So the interest, if you lock your money in cheap right now, you're actually hedging against inflation in the future. So it's really like not only
say that, that's huge. Say that again. Say that part again.
Okay. So if you lock your interest rate in right now and you're purchasing money at 3%, right? Because that's what we're doing. We're getting a loan. We're purchasing money at 3%. We're actually purchasing at a lower rate than the rate of inflation. So we're actually hedging against inflation. So if you are interested in making a wise decision in the current economic time, take on some debt. I'm currently refinancing a lot of my properties, and by the way, if you have a property, refinance it, right? Because refinancing It's not part of capital gains. It's not part of income. You can just take the money and the taxes don't get taken out of it.
Absolutely.
Refinance your properties, like this is just smart. This is just a smart thing to do. But if your apprehensions on the other side, that you have some fears, maybe you haven't been a homeowner before. Maybe you're scared about that. I know the first time I went through a divorce a long time ago, I bought a house and I was talking to my girlfriend about it, and I was scared. I was taking on a mortgage, and I was like, oh my God, I'm afraid. And she's like, what are you scared of? You're going to make it. And I was like, yeah, but I had this fantasy, like when you're with a couple, it's like, you might be poor, but you're not going to be alone. Poor and alone doesn't sound good.
Right.
I was like, what am I going to do? She's like, you're not going to be either. Just step through it. Right. So the fact of the matter is, there was a thought that was hindering me. There was a thought that was stopping me. So you got to dig deep, got to know what's stopping you,
Great advice. All right, Chuck, go ahead.
I'm not muted, right? Okay, good. So couple of things that I wanted to bring up. One is you clearly also see the value in time. We always say time, money, and effort are all equivalent. If you don't have enough time, you got to put more. So with these RTI projects, if we're able to catch one, then there's that value in time of saving a year of having to wait for approval and just breaking ground. So I happen to have 3 projects, 4 projects, 5 projects, whatever, that are all ready to issue. Someone has already sat with it and dealt with it and did all that. Would I be able to utilize your network to, for example, maybe try to find a buyer for one of them? That's one thing that I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Let's address that, and then I want to talk about a couple of other things.
Sure. I'll be really honest with you. There aren't that many in my women's real estate network that are developers yet. There's only like 2 or 3 of us. There's one that's super active and moving forward on things, and I could definitely refer, your projects to her. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah.
Okay. The other thing I was going to say is, for anyone listening here and who likes your vibe, likes the way you're, describing things and explaining things. I saw that on your website, it's very easy to schedule like a talk with you and get you on as a coach. So can we give you, is it DeborahRazo.com?
It is DeborahRazo.com. Okay. Yeah.
So Lior, if you can put that up on there so people can see that, that'll be great. And then final thing, do you have like a favorite app on your phone that you use that like you can't live without? For some people, it's Realtor.com. For some people, it's Zillow. For some people, it's Stewart Title. What's yours?
So we're talking real estate app, huh?
Any app.
Okay. All right. I use Zillow a lot when I'm driving around, because it's easier to track me and I can see exactly what I'm looking at. So I use Zillow a lot when I'm driving around. I use Redfin a lot when I'm doing comps and the MLS, right? So those are my tools that I use that way. I'm like embarrassed. You just like totally caught me embarrassed. I'm a TikTok addict.
Me too.
Oh my God, are you?
Me too. Yes.
Okay, if you open,
I hope my daughter's not watching, because I just banned her from it.
You should ban her. And my daughter can't get in, so she goes on my phone and we watch it together. Like we're addicted to TikTok. It's hilarious.
It's hysterical. So if you opened my TikTok, you would see a lot of comedians, because I just think there's some funny comedians on TikTok, and then you would also see renovations. Like there's a lot of people doing some really interesting, and they're like kind of I'm going to call it down home renovations, right? They're like just taking things because they're just being creative and resourceful and doing stuff with cabinets or doors or whatever. And I think it's interesting, I watched this guy pour a concrete slab countertop the other day, and I've always had to do it full concrete, and he did it in a different way. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, right? So it is like a little bit of pleasure, like I still love looking at before and after pictures. I'm a flipping heart, you know.
Well, don't feel embarrassed, because TikTok is like, it's amazing. I mean, it'll take 2-3 hours out of your life without even noticing.
Oh, super easy. Now people are trying to get me on that new Clubhouse, you know. And I haven't really, like, I've been on a few times, and I'm trying to figure it out, but I'm still kind of, I'm TikTok addict. So
of course we went over, which we only do when we have a great speaker and we have, you know, really good content. It's never a problem because it's not like we're locked into an hour. But before we go, I absolutely want you to be able to talk about your boot camp. So let me get it up here. Can you tell us a little bit about, your boot camp?
So Lloyd Siegel and I'm just going to, you know, true confessions here. Lloyd Siegel was one of my first mentors, and we actually did a flip together, like, I don't know, like 10 years ago. And Lloyd Siegel and I are teaching a real estate basic training boot camp. So, you know, it's really for people who want to get into real estate and don't know at all anything, ground zero, where to start. It goes over the basics, like, you know, how to evaluate a property, how to write up an offer, you know, what to do with the property once that you secured it, how to do wholesaling if you have time and not a lot of money, you know, how to do, you know, how to put notes in, how to go through escrow. Those processes can be really intimidating, and we break all that down for you. So, and it's one day, and Lloyd is a pretty funny guy, and we just like to, you know, harass each other. So we're going to do it all on one day on Zoom on March 13th. And if you sign up before March 6th, which is just over a week away, it's only $149. And it will be put on modules after we recorded it on March 13th. So you'll have access to it the whole time. But if you don't sign up by March 6th, it's going up $100. So if you're interested in just learning the basics of real estate, you need to come join us, and we'll have some fun, and it'll be a good time.
Yeah, Lloyd is a very, also, I mean, you guys are like two peas in a pod. He's been on with us before here on one of our episodes.
Yes. And I forgot to give the website. It's www.realestatebasictraining.com. That's where you need to sign up.
Let me do that.
Realestatebasictraining.com.
And on that note, let's give Los Angeles Real Estate Investors Club a shout out, and Lloyd Siegel, that does so much for the community. And I'm happy that we get to be involved with them and be able to, you know, reach the members and you know, all that good stuff that we do.
Yeah, he's a character.
And he's like a genius. He just knows everything.
Yes.
Not a know-it-all. He really does know everything. So
he does.
So we need to wrap it up. We really want to thank you so much for joining us. We know that this is like, you know, it's kind of in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week. So, you know, we appreciate you joining us today.
It's really nice getting to know you guys, and thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. Absolutely. And for everybody watching, remember, we have a new platform, so make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. You go join the Facebook group, and next week we're going to also be streaming live on LinkedIn. So we will see you all again next Thursday, 2:00. Deborah, thank you again, and bye, everyone.
Do we need to rub elbows?
Yeah, there you go.
Bye, thanks.
Bye.